By the end of this video, you should be able to give people highlights on their hair, change the color of the shirt that they're wearing, add text behind them, and maybe even completely remove the backgrounds and transport them somewhere else. So take this image that I have on screen of a painter who's painting. This painter has placed painter's tapes above and below the place where he's painting. And the intention here is that they do not want paint to go where the painter's tape is, but they want the paint to go where the painter's tape is not, in the middle. This is the basic example of masking. This area is being masked by the painter's tape, and this area is not. If you understand this, you've understood masking. So let's learn about how to do this in Resolve. The simplest way to mask something in Resolve is to do it in the Fusion tab. So let me bring in this footage. It's just some cars going by. So a way to think of masks is you telling Resolve, I know I've asked you to do something, but I only want you to do it in this specific area. So what does that mean? So take this image. We have connected media in to media out. So what are we telling Resolve? We're telling Resolve, I want you to show me the image in media 1 in the output. So it's a very simple command that we are giving Resolve. Now, if we want to add one layer of complexity there, saying, I want you to show the image, but I only want you to show it in a very specific area, that's where masks come in. Resolve's way of asking you for a mask is a blue triangle. So anytime you see a blue triangle, it's Resolve's way of saying, please supply a mask to me. That's true on the Fusion page. It's also true on the color pages. So on the color page, wherever you see a node, so you see this blue triangle here, that's Resolve's way of asking for a mask. A blue rectangle is Resolve's way of giving out a mask. It's the output mask. But we'll come to this page later. Let's look at Fusion. The simplest way to give Resolve a mask is by using these 4 mask tools in the toolbar. The first one is a rectangular mask. So I'm just going to drag this in. It's how you create a rectangle. You take this output and connect it to the media in's mask input, the blue triangle. So now what's happened is I'm going to bring this rectangle onto the monitor 1 by pressing the number 1. So as you can see, this is very similar to the painter's tape. The black area is where we have placed the painter's tape. We are saying, I do not want you to affect this area. And the white is where we have not placed the painter's tape. We are telling Resolve, I want you to affect this area. Which is why Resolve is saying, okay, I won't affect this area that's in black. I won't do anything there. The place that white is present, I will show the image that you asked me to show. Now, obviously, you can change the width and the height of this mask, and Resolve will comply. So you can change the height, you can change the width, and Resolve will respect the mask and show the output only where the white is. And if you can see, this is how you fake a widescreen look when you don't have an anamorphic lens. So let's go back to the edit page. It looks like a widescreen look now. So that's how you do that. So the rectangular mask is the most basic mask that you can add. You can also add a circular mask. So drag in the circle, the ellipse, connect it to the media in, and you have a circular mask. So I'm just going to bring that up on monitor 1. You can also remove this. You can also do a polygonal mask. So just drag in a polygon, bring this into output 1. For a polygonal mask, you just need to create a polygon and close it, and then connect it to the mask input. And you will see that, again, Resolve respects that mask and only shows the data where the white color is and does not show it where the black color is. So this is the most basic understanding of how masks work in Resolve. Let's take the complexity 1 level up now. And to take the complexity 1 level up, I am going to try to reproduce the James Bond intro sequence. You know, the one where Bond walks and then there's a barrel that follows him and then he goes boom? That one. Unfortunately, I can't afford Daniel Craig or James Bond. So in our example, we are going to make do with this cute little cosmonaut. So cosmonaut is going to be our James Bond. So here's what's happening. So I have placed this barrel on top of the cosmonaut, and my idea is that I want to see the cosmonaut where the white area here is. I have placed it on top, but nothing's happening. Why? Nothing's happening because we have not yet told Resolve that you need to treat this area as a mask. Resolve just thinks that this is an image and it's literally placed one image on top of another, and hence you only see the top image. So based on what we did in the mask earlier, if you go back to the Fusion tab, one way of solving this is by creating an elliptical mask, bring it in, pass it into the mask input of media 1, and adjust the width and the height to match the circle, and then just move it accordingly. Now, if you go back to the edit page, you will notice that we have kind of done the opposite of what we wanted. We wanted the cosmonaut guy to be inside the circle, but we only have him outside the circle now. So we've kind of done the inverse. To fix this, go to Fusion, choose the ellipse, and then on the right on the inspector, click invert. This will swap the blacks and the whites. So if I bring this up on the left monitor, you can see that the black is in the middle, which means I don't want you to affect that. And white is on the sides, which means I will affect it. So that's our way of telling Resolve, I want you to show the barrel where the white is, and I do not want you to show that image where the black is, and hence what is underneath will come through. So if you go back to edit, you'll see that the cosmonaut is now inside the barrel. I can just zoom the cosmonaut out. The mask is not quite right, so I'm just going to go here, increase the width, increase the height, add a soft edge, come to the edit page, and there you go. So that's how you would do it in Fusion, but there's another place where masks are also available, and I already showed it to you. That's in the color tab. Again, let me take the same example of the barrel of the gun and the cosmonaut dude. Go into the color tab with the barrel selected, because that's the one that you want to place the mask on. When you think masks, in the color tab, Resolve gives you something called power windows. The power window is the fourth icon here, the one with this circle. Click that. It'll bring up this window where you can choose different types of power windows. Because I'm trying to mask out a circular area, I'm going to click the circular power window, click this, and there you go. It's placed a circular mask in the center of the image. The grays are similar to the blacks that we spoke about earlier, and the white is similar to the white that we spoke about earlier. We want the image to only be shown on the sides and not in the barrel at the center. So we need to flip this mask. The way to invert a mask is by clicking this icon here, the invert mask icon. Click this, the mask will be inverted. The mask is not quite the right size, so I'm going to expand it by just moving this here. And there you go. Now, I'm going to go back to the edit page. Nothing happened. We just placed a mask. It looks correct here. But if I come back to the edit page, I don't see the cosmonaut dude underneath. What's happened? So what's happening here is that in the color page, every node has a image output and also a mask output. So the image output is in green color. The mask output is always blue in color. The mask output is not connected to anything, which means that this node is only exporting the image values, but it's not exporting the mask values. So we need to do that in order for the edit page to see what mask was created in this node. To do that, right-click and choose Add Alpha Output. Now, before I click that, you might hear three different words: masks, mats, and alphas. If you're a beginner in mask land, just assume that masks, mats, and alpha all mean the same thing. So what this is saying is add alpha output, think add mask output. So you're clicking add alpha output. It creates a brand new blue node on the corner. Connect the blue rectangle to the alpha output. And now when you go back to the edit page, there you go. The cosmonaut dude is peeping through the barrel. So just fix the zoom, and there you go. It's the second way to create a mask using power windows. So let's take the complexity one level further up. I'm going to bring this video clip of a person walking towards a car. The car is red in color. And let's say that the client brief is for you to change the color of this car from this color to something else. From our previous example, your immediate thought might be, let me go into the color tab and let me create a power window, a polygonal power window, and let me draw a polygon here so that I can define this area. This will ensure that everything outside is not affected, or only the area inside is affected. And you will be right. So if you go to the hue versus hue, I can change it. It looks okay, but there is some spill. You can see spill over here. It's not the most clean mask that you have. But wait, there's a better way to do this. Before you start masking, ask yourself, is there anything unique about the place that I'm trying to mask? Can I use that to my advantage? In this image here, the red colored car is unique because that seems to be the only reds in the entire image. So maybe I can use that to my benefit to create a mask. So I could tell Resolve, wherever you see a red, that's your mask. Wherever you don't see a red, those are your zeros. The way to do that is something called qualifiers, and qualifiers are present on the color tab. So go to the color tab. The qualifier is the third icon here, the one that looks like a color picker. There are multiple qualifiers here. So the first qualifier is qualifier HSL, hue, saturation, luminance. Hue means what color is it? Saturation means how much of the color there is. Luminance means how bright is that color. There are other qualifiers that I won't be covering today, but just walking through. You have the RGB qualifier, red, green, blue. You also have the luminance only qualifier. Going back to the HSL, the hue, saturation, luminance qualifier, let's find a way to tell Resolve that I'm only interested in the red parts of this image. On the toolbar here, near the 114% here, the third icon is called the highlight icon. Now I'm on Resolve 18.5 beta. So for me, it looks like this. If I'm not mistaken, in older versions of Resolve, this icon looks like a magic wand. So depending on what version of Resolve you're running, this icon might look different, but you're basically looking for the highlight icon. So find highlight, click that, and now go back to the picker and mouse down and just run your mouse over the red areas that you're interested in. Something like this. I'm doing a rough job here just for illustration purposes, but now that you have that mask selected, you can adjust this mask by playing with the hue, saturation, and luminance sliders. So maybe play with the width to see how that affects your selection. This is about right. You can also play with the center to see if anything comes in or goes out. So that is giving me a better selection of the red color. You can see here. Play with the saturation slider, see if that impacts anything. Saturation does impact. Reduce the high point until it starts eating into the colors. Increase the low point until it starts eating into the colors, somewhere here. And you can play with the luminance also. So you can just move the slider. The goal here is to move all three sliders and the width of those sliders so that you get a pretty reasonable qualification of the color. Click the highlight button so that you can see everything one more time. Go to the curve slider, and now you can start adjusting the color of the selection. In the curves hue versus hue panel, this is the second selection in this toolbar. So hue versus hue, and just move it up and you will see that the color of the car starts changing. Now, depending on how good your mask is, you might or might not see artifacts when you scrub in. So I think our mask looks reasonably good. I do not see any reds. Everything looks good and pink. But there's something else that you'll notice. You've noticed that the lady's handbag here has also started changing color, right? If you make it really a weird color, you'll see that's also being affected. And the reason that is being affected is because when you did the qualification, you'll notice that the mask includes the handbag as well. So this kind of tells you that just one type of mask may not be sufficient. And sometimes you might want to add multiple approaches to create the exact mask that you want. So because we are unable to remove this handbag from the selection just using color selections, you want to go back to what we learned earlier, which is to create a polygonal power window. So I'm just going to create a window here. I know that the mask, I know that the handbag does not come inside this mask anywhere. So I'm just going to create something that looks like this. Scrub through and just make sure that the handbag is always outside that mask and it's never impacted. There you go. That kind of works well. So if you go back to the edit page, you can see that the red car has now changed color into pink. So the lesson here is to, when you think masking, don't only think power windows or fusion masks. Qualifiers are also a type of masking. Hope this video is being useful thus far. If you're liking it, please hit the like button and let me know that you enjoyed it. I would also appreciate a comment in the comment section below. Now, let's increase the complexity one level further. The next topic we're going to cover is something called a magic mask. The magic mask is a studio-only feature, but it's a huge time saver. And let's take a look at the magic mask now. So let's work on the same image that we had earlier. The magic mask again is present on the color tab. So go into the color tab. The magic mask is the fifth icon in the toolbar. Now, the magic mask has two different modes. You have what's called an object mask, and you also have what's called a person mask. So depending on what it is that you're trying to mask out, Resolve's neural engine will work in either object mode or in person mode. Let's say we want to mask out this lady and we want to add some text behind her so that she's in front and the text is at the back, and even as she's walking, the text remains at the back. So let's say that's the goal now. To do that, come to the magic mask, choose the plus picker here, and then simply go in and add a stroke to where she is, wherever you're interested in the magic mask to activate on. And that's it, and let it go. There are two modes here, a faster mode and a better mode. When you're finally delivering your output, I would recommend you moving this to better, but for the purposes of this exercise, let's keep it in faster so that it doesn't take too long. Once you've done this stroke, come to this playhead toolbar here, click the forward reverse track, and Resolve is going to use its neural engine to identify where the person is and also how the person is moving throughout the frame. So I'm just going to let it do its tracking. So it is tracking behind the scenes. It takes a bit of time. It also uses your GPU. So the more powerful your GPU, the faster it'll finish. Cool. So it's done something. And to see what it has affected, go back to the highlight tab. And you can see that it is very, very cleanly pulled out the lady. So as she's walking, you'll see that the mask, it's done a really good job. If you were to manually do this, you would be rotoscoping for days. So this is a huge time saver in the studio version of Resolve. You can see the car through the legs, so you can spend the time going and manually fixing it. You can use the tools over here. You can adjust the radius of the mask. You can change the consistency. Feel free to go here and experiment with what each of these sliders do. But ultimately, the goal of these sliders is to help you get a better mask. But for the purposes of our exercise, this mask is good enough. If you click the highlight button again, you can also see what the mask selection was by clicking the overlay button. The overlay button is here in this toolbar. So if you click it, you will see a red color highlight showing here, and that defines where the mask is. Now, if you wanted to affect everywhere but where she is, so the inverse of this, the inverse mask tool is here, just next to the overlay button. So you click that, everything but the person is now selected, but our goal is to select the person, so I'm just going to invert it back. If you go back to the edit page, again, you wouldn't see any difference. And the reason you don't see any difference is because you don't have an alpha output. Right-click, add alpha output, connect the blue rectangle to the alpha output. And now if you go back to the edit page, you'll see just the person over here. Move this to video 3, bring in the original footage one more time, place that in video track 1, bring in a text plus node between the two tracks, and let's write something. Let's call this Ferrari. Increase the text size, increase the tracking. Now, as you can see, wherever she is present, the text goes behind her. And that's a really good mask, if I may say so myself. We literally spent under 1 minute doing this mask. And you wouldn't believe me, if we were doing this about 5 to 6 years ago, this mask could have taken us anywhere between half an hour to 1 hour to do. Davinci Resolve Studio version is worth its money. So that's how you had text behind a person. Now remember, I've done this using the magic mask. It does not mean that you need the magic mask to create text behind anyone. You just need to create a mask. You can use any of the previous mask creating tools that we spoke about to achieve this effect. Now, another absolutely cool feature of the magic mask is that not only can you mask an entire person, you can also mask specific parts of the person's body. So let's try that. I've imported this file of this girl taking a selfie. And let's say our goal is now to change her hair color. So go back to the color tab. With the node selected, go into the magic mask, but this time let's choose the person mode. And once you go to person mode, you will see two brand new tabs show up, person or features. I'm going to choose features. And once you choose features, you'll see a drop down of what feature you're trying to target. So let's say I want to target the hair because I want to change the color of the hair. I'm going to say hair. And just like last time, let's draw a stroke where her hair is. And then let's do forward reverse and see what kind of a mask magic mask comes up with. Look, the fact that magic mask can do this is bonkers. This would have been, oh my God, so hard a few years ago. Okay. So it's created a mask. Now, obviously, it's not done a perfect job. There are some spills here. So to correct the spills, choose the unselect area and then just go and clean it up. So there's a bit of her face being selected. Just do that. Just do that. It'll go away. So go through it. Make sure you clean up the mask. It's still a brand new feature, so it's still not 100%. But remove the overlay. Go into the color tab, and let's say you just change her color. There you go, you've made her color purple. So that's how you change someone's hair color really quickly in Davinci Resolve using the magic mask. Shall we increase the complexity one more level? The next feature I want to talk to you about is what's called a depth mask. Let me bring in this clip of this girl running in the woods. So this depth mask is also a studio only feature. So if you have the free version, you wouldn't have it. But again, it's such an excellent tool that just this and magic mask kind of make the studio version worth it. So what does a depth mask do? The depth mask tries to identify what in the image is in the foreground and what in the image is in the background. And you can invoke the depth mask from two different places. You can either do it on the edit page, or you can also do it on the color page. I think the color page has a lot more flexibility than what the edit page version of it gives you. So I'm going to go to the color page and work on this. So go to the color page, and in the effects, search for depth and bring up the depth mask, depth map. And I've just placed it on top, and already it's such a good mask. So the way to read this is the places where you're seeing the whiter or the grayer color, that's in the foreground. And the places where you're seeing the darker color, that's in the background. So let's say now we want to make the woods more misty. There's a lot of, it's an early morning and there's a lot of mist around. So let's say that's what we're trying to do. The way to do this is go back to the edit page. You have this output. The reason that's showing is because I've selected depth map preview. Remove that. You'll come back to the original image. I have downloaded some sort of a mist video clip. I'll leave these files in the description so that you can follow along. So I'm just going to clip this to the correct size, get rid of that. The color here is a weird purple color. I'm just going to desaturate it so that it doesn't look odd. So come to the color page, click desaturate and just make it black and white. Go back to the edit page. The fog is on top of the person. It's the wrong way around. So I'm just going to take this on top and bring it down. So now nothing's happened. That's the reason nothing has happened is because we have not yet passed the mask down. So go back to the color tab, create a new alpha output, and then send the mask to the output. Come back here, and you can see you can see that it looks as if there's this mist, and there's kind of depth to that mist. It's not an entire overlay like you've slapped an image on top of it. There is some depth to it. Now, it looks a little too much to me, and if you also scrub further, you'll see that the mask starts failing. See here, the mask is failing. So let's say I want to push the mist further down so that it looks like the mist is far away, but it's still there. The way to do that is go back to the color node. Let's play with the depth map properties. So in the inspector, I'm just going to click the depth map preview so that this image comes back up. I am going to change the far limit and the near limit. So this adjusts how far does far mean and how near does near mean. So I'm going to push this further back and I'm going to adjust the near limit. So the more I increase the far limit, the more the smoke comes in, and the more I take it back, the more into the depth it goes. I'm just going to keep far limit there. I'm also going to adjust the near limit further back so that it doesn't overwhelm me. And for me, that kind of looks realistic. So let's take a look. It looks almost as if it's an early morning scene and there's early morning fog in the wooded area. Now, if I had more time, I'd obviously spend a lot more time finessing the target depth, the tolerance, and making the mask absolutely crystal clear. But this gives you a general idea of what's possible with masking in Davinci Resolve. And you can see that I'm very excited. This is just super cool. This would have taken us a really long time to do a few years ago. And the fact that it can be done in such a short period of time is just amazing. Now, if you want to learn about object replacement using the object removal tool and the surface tracker, I have a really cool video here that is a must watch. Okay, so that's kind of it. Those are the examples that I wanted to share with you today. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you learned something. If this video was useful, please subscribe. Please hit the like button and let me know in the comments what else you'd like to learn. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.